And there's a car blocking the crossing, because of course there is. And a guy on an e-bike nearly hitting a few pedestrians, because why not? We are here at the Midtown Toronto intersection of Yonge and Eglinton, where on November 9th, the Crosstown LRT project, which was supposed to open back in 2020, celebrated its 13th anniversary since groundbreaking, and there is still no opening in sight, and that was to run along Eglinton Avenue here. And it is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, 4:05 p.m. is the time, and the temperature is around 9 degrees Celsius. And it is raining lightly. And I've decided to forego the umbrella for now. And this is an entrance to Eglinton Station. Once upon a time, you'd be able to enter the station from all four corners of the intersection. As for now, this is the only corner you can enter it from. And there's a thick layer of fog shrouding the city at the moment. But for this one, we'll be walking west along Eglinton Avenue West here, from Eglinton Station to what is, at least for now, Eglinton West Station. And if and when the Crosstown LRT ever opens, it'll be renamed Cedarvale Station. Legend has it one day you'll be able to enter the station right there and head down to the Crosstown. All right, let's keep moving west here. And I think this space is to eventually become a public park, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll talk a little bit about this never-ending transit project as we make our way for what I think will be about 3.5 kilometers along Eglinton. This street here is Duplex Avenue. There used to be a small office tower in that lot. That's going to make way, I think, for a shiny new condo. And it's worth noting these bike lanes here are not complete. They tend to disappear shortly after each major intersection. They're supposed to be completed alongside the Crosstown LRT project, but Metrolinx has been dragging its heels, so there are still no bike lanes on Eglinton, at least not in a continuous sense. The project is also known as Line 5. There's a Toronto police station across the street. And at this time of day, traffic along Eglinton isn't particularly good. Perhaps that would have been much improved if the Crosstown had opened by now. Or if the Eglinton West subway that was under construction in the 90s was ever completed. Very common to see people standing in the bike lanes here. Just obliviously waiting for a bus. But this project dates its origins back to the 1970s. The original planning goes back to then, when a transit corridor was proposed along Eglinton. And in 1994, the Eglinton West subway line was announced. That was part of an ambitious project by the Ontario government. And as soon as shovels were in the ground and construction was underway, it was canceled by then Premier Mike Harris. And the reason given was cost-cutting measures. And rather than build the much more useful Eglinton West subway line, we ended up with a partially built Shepherd line, which has far less value and utility to the city, but it was championed by then Mayor Mel Lastman of North York. There's a number of international schools along this stretch of Eglinton here. And that reign of Mike Harris was probably the worst this province has ever seen, at least in my lifetime, until the current premier took hold of things. Mike Harris downloaded a lot of provincial responsibilities to the city to make the province's budget look good, but it overwhelmed the city with responsibilities they couldn't afford. Transit being a large victim of those downloads. And to this day, the TTC is severely underfunded. Okay. Now some smartass is going to say, yeah, but the pedestrian hand was flashing. But drivers aren't supposed to be concerned with that. They have their own signals to pay attention to, and then they have an obligation to make sure it's there right away and the coast is clear. But after plans for the Eglinton West subway were canceled, there was a bit of a revival by then David Miller back in 2007 as part of Transit City. And that proposed a number of LRT lines, I think 7 in total, including one along Eglinton. And the idea was to provide fast and efficient service with dedicated right-of-ways. And in 2009, $8.2 billion was provided by the province to go towards funding of Transit City. And that would have included plans along Eglinton. And in 2010, the project was transitioned over to Metrolinx. They're the province's regional transit authority, and the line was redesigned to run primarily underground from Keele to Land Drive. Shout out to Burger Shack, an old school burger joint, similar vibes to Square Boy. It's not insanely affordable like Square Boy, but the quality is there. it's good to see all the construction hoarding has been removed from Eglinton, but so many businesses were lost while Metrolinx had dug up the street. The New York Classic Grill closed there. Gitz's Deli closed. I think probably hundreds of businesses in total were lost due to Metrolinx boarding up the front of where their business was located and limiting pedestrian access. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. This place has hung on for quite a while. And in 2011, then Mayor Rob Ford was initially opposed to surface level transit. He is a believer in subways. And eventually, he reached an agreement with Metrolinx to continue the project on Eglinton. Speaking of which, Avenue Station is coming up, right at Avenue Road. Where you have a huge station taking up a prominent corner of the intersection, with nothing to be built on top of it, which is a huge missed opportunity, and no retail on the corner. It's really just a glorified underground streetcar. There's also another very oddly configured station over there. It's weird when you go to major cities around the world, and a lot of subway stations are really just a set of stairs you walk into, popping up out of the sidewalk or into the side of a building, but our underground LRT has seen a number of buildings expropriated, torn down, and replaced with what's essentially just a giant entranceway just to get to a set of stairs and go down. Land use is not a strong suit of Metrolinx. And I mentioned Gitz's Deli, which I first saw in an episode of Kenny vs. Smenny. And me and some friends decided to go there. There's where it was, a mainstay of this area, but you couldn't really access it by foot for years and years. It was just completely closed in by fencing. And they obviously weren't given sufficient compensation. But groundbreaking was finally done on the project in November of 2011. And in 2012, it was officially named the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. Where are you going? Why are you going over the crossing? There's literally nowhere to go. There's plans to transform Eglinton into a complete street. There's the Eglinton Grand. It'll be interesting to see how this area intensifies if and when the LRT ever opens. The first tunneling was done in 2013. And all is said and done, the route's going to be about 19 kilometers long. not including a planned western extension, which is already underway. From Mount Dennis to the west and Etobicoke all the way into Scarborough, terminating at Candy Station. There'll be links to lines 1 and 2. And most of the stations to the east will be above ground at surface grade, while most of the stations to the west will be below ground. But quite idiotically, the LRT vehicles won't have a dedicated right-of-way and signal priority for the above-ground portion, meaning they could theoretically get stuck behind a car turning left or a disabled vehicle or an accident, and will be at the mercy of light cycles. So yeah, they will have a dedicated right-of-way except for intersections where they cross with traffic, but not giving signal priority is a giant misstep that's been widely criticized. That's one of the reasons why I refer to it as a glorified underground streetcar. This restaurant's really well done. It used to be a steak restaurant. And with construction underway, in 2016, Metrolinx awarded a $9.1 billion public-private partnership to Crosslinx. And that's a partnership that was designed to actually build the transit line. And they're supposed to maintain it for 30 years. And most major station construction and track installation was done between 2019 and 2020. So things seemed to be somewhat on track at the time for the scheduled 2020 opening, but that day came and went. And that can was repeatedly kicked down the road. There's House of Chan. The building that was located in to the west of here was expropriated by Metrolinx, and they had to relocate.
That one on the corner there?
So initially the opening was pushed to 2021, then it was pushed to 2022. And then eventually they just said, we don't know when it's going to open. They cite technical issues, as well as pandemic-related delays and legal issues. Metrolinx and Crosslinx are apparently pointing the finger at one another. That wing shop smelled pretty good. And as for its current status, it remains under construction with no finalized date. And there's been a complete lack of transparency as to what specifically is going on. And the Premier of Ontario is also not being very transparent about it. Even though Metrolinx is a provincial responsibility, and he's ultimately accountable for it. He'd rather point the finger at bike lanes being a problem when they're not. And the mayor has pointed it out as well, the irony of him trying to remove bike lanes to reduce congestion, which have been proven to improve congestion, while he drags his heels on this project. As we've made it to the Chaplin stop. Again, a huge plot of land used up just for a set of stairs and a Presto machine. There's not even an elevator here. Like, why was this necessary? To buy out the landowners here. A simple staircase, or even a commercial building could have gone up, or a condo with a set of stairs leading into the Crosstown. There's another entrance over there. It's almost as if you might want to intensify where you build a major transit route. I've never noticed this. The favorite, Favorite. It's not a very Canadian way of spelling favorite. Okay, we can cross the street here and get a closer look at the main entrance to what will be Chaplin Station. Name which makes sense since it's right on Chaplin Crescent. Avenue makes sense because it's right on Avenue, but the next stop at Bathurst is called Forest Hill. I think they should have just called it Bathurst North. There's a nice little park here, and it looks like bicycle parking. And over there, another entrance wedged into a small parcel of land. That one's not such an egregious use of land. But some of Toronto's city councillors have called for a public inquiry into the delay. The budget has ballooned to well over $13 billion from the original $9 billion. And in July, the Metrolinx CEO, Phil Verster, went on record saying the agency will announce an opening date when it is 3 months away. And it has been radio silent since then. Interestingly enough, he's now one of the highest paid transit executives in North America. Over the past several years, his salary has gone up by over $300,000. Apparently he is raking it in to the tune of over $500,000 a year. And he made quite the mess of the rail network in Scotland in a prior position. Why we see the need to reward him with such a handsome amount of, whoa, that BMW. Okay. Excellent driving everywhere you look in this city. Sorry if this comes across as kind of a negative video. We'll blame it on the weather. Not that people can drive here under the best of conditions. Now we have an overpaid CEO. A premier refusing to take any type of accountability or action to get this thing open and running. Dozens, if not hundreds, of small businesses closed and livelihoods destroyed, and a public that is inconvenienced by not having fast access or a fast-moving transit line. If you ask me when I predict it'll open, I will say just in time for the next provincial election. Because of course that's when it'll open. The fat man will pat himself on the back and say, "Look what I did." And as for that sign, it is 4:31 now, and 8 degrees Celsius. This is Vesta Drive at Bathurst and DuPont. There's a diner called Vesta Lunch. It's been around for a very long time. A good old-fashioned greasy spoon. I think it takes its name after Vesta Drive. There's Forest Hill Collegiate Institute. So we've got 2 more stops to go. We'll be walking past Forest Hill. And then to Eglinton West. What's curious is in Seoul, South Korea, a city where I lived for 5 years, the average subway line takes between 5 to 8 years to open up once construction is underway. And those are usually lines that are significantly longer and more complex than the Crosstown LRT. They pass through stations that already make connections to 2 or 3 lines. And navigate a much more complicated infrastructure. And I guess when you have expertise, and you're actually accountable to the public, and not just openly grifting away their taxpayer dollars, you can get results like that. In fact, someone on Reddit looked up, I think it was Beijing or Shanghai's recent subway construction. I'm going to see if I can find that. As we cross Old Forest Hill Road, Forest Hill North is the neighborhood to the right. Forest Hill South, a very affluent and well-to-do neighborhood just to the left. All right, it was Beijing. So over the last 13 years, Beijing has opened up 9 subway lines, and the total length of their network has gone from 300 kilometers to 700 kilometers. In Shanghai, it was 8 lines, and the total length doubled to 800 kilometers. And those may be huge metropolises, much bigger than Toronto, but a city similar to Toronto, Chengdu, That one added 8 lines, increasing its network from 19 kilometers to 400 kilometers, all in the time that we cannot open an underground streetcar. How does Phil Verster still have a job even is beyond me. Here's where traffic gets really bad, going westward. There's my old doctor's office. Got a doctor there. And one day I got a phone call saying he moved clinics, but they had a new doctor who was taking in patients. So I met with her, did the initial consultation, signed up. Then shortly after that, she left. I was left without a family doctor. There's Forest Hill Station. One of the entrances to it over there. Maybe we'll cross here to get a better look at it. But this is Bathurst in Eglinton. I am planning on doing a video on Bathurst right after this one, providing the weather holds up. I'm shamelessly trying to get my steps in today. We're at 5217, 18,000 the day before. I failed the day before that, 8,500, 16,8, 19,3, 11, 13,6, 17,1. I try to get as many as possible every day. So a property was expropriated here. What's basically a staircase, an escalator, and an elevator. That easily could have been incorporated to the side of a lobby of a building that served multi-purposes. I quite like the balconies on this one. You get excellent privacy from your neighbors. And there are going to be steps from rapid transit one day, maybe. That's the kind of intensification we should be seeing along Eglinton. I mentioned that House of Chan restaurant. They used to be located right here, where again we have more fabulous land use by Metrolinx. If you could let me know why an entire building here is necessary down in the comments, let me solve that mystery. Secondary entrances usually aren't this big. You can already see the comments now. Will you stop whining? Just be grateful they're doing something for you. Well, imagine if our idiot of a premier actually went through with building a tunnel under Highway 401. I don't think there's a single person in this province stupid enough to think that's a good idea. If the big dig in Boston and across town here were any indications of how long that would be, it's safe to say Dougie would no longer be around for anywhere close to the opening of that boondoggle. Dollar Smart discount store and convenience. westbound traffic here is quite painful between here and Allen Road. On the other side of Allen Road is the excellent little Jamaican neighborhood. There's lots of great food along that stretch of Eglinton.
I'm dropping the Uber. I know. I don't, like, to me, it's like, I'm not staying around.
Double Star Games and Hobbies. Handmade for the holidays. As you can tell, I've run out of talking points. So we're just going to enjoy the walk between here and Eglinton West. And I think I'm going to get on the subway and head south a stop down to St. Clair. And I'll do a walk down Bathurst from St. Clair. Down to Bathurst Station. Lady Nails and Spa. Am I not allowed to go there?
Chaplin, all dark. Camels are dying because of cold. This much snow.
Apparently, camels are dying because it's too cold in the desert. The things you overhear. All burgers and sandwiches, $8. Make it a combo for $5. I think they meant to say for $5 more. You take an $8 hamburger and turn it into a combo for just $5. That'd be the deal of the century. Maybe I just missed the part where it says more on that sign. If you're wondering where all the foot traffic is, this isn't an area where you see a lot of pedestrian traffic normally. And because of that crosstown construction, this side of the sidewalk was closed off such that you couldn't access Eglinton West Station for a period of several years. You had to cross over to the south side and then back to the north side. Great times at Upper Village. That must be the business improvement area name of this area. It's a rather nice night for a walk though. It's not too cold. And it's really just been a light drizzle and rain. As the bike lanes randomly reappear, sure to be reconnected or fully connected when the LRT opens. And speaking of land use, hopefully something goes in this lot. But here's the entrance to Eglinton West, which Metrolinx has renamed Cedarville, at least upon the opening of the LRT. I wish they just stuck to the TTC's naming convention. Not many people outside of Cedarville know what the hell it is. It's the name of the surrounding neighborhood. But people are already long familiar with Eglinton West Station. That's really the point in renaming it. These cars are turning north onto the Allen Road. Well, that guy pushed his luck. That was right through a red. As we wait for a very long light cycle, that might just be the rationale behind putting this entrance here. Save people 5 minutes from waiting for the light cycle. They do have dedicated cycling lights in there, which is interesting. Premier denied that it would cost $48 million to rip the bike lanes out that they're saying will be coming out. Here's Eglinton West. And a peek down towards the LRT platforms. There's another entrance over there. And one straight ahead. Not much to see through here, unfortunately. I'm gonna head down and hop on a southbound train. I always kind of like this station. It's got a very 70s vibe to it. And that's my train. I'm not going to run for it. I wouldn't have made it if I did. Although sometimes the doors hold and they reopen. Next train coming in 2 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Do let me know your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support what I do, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I have an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Anywho, time to get ready for video number 2. Thanks for watching, guys. Yoink.